Hi everybody, and I'm so excited to start your Halloween project. I'm going to go through all the different techniques and using Soundtrap for you. And here we go, let's get started for some cool stuff. So let's talk about the different tracks that you can add. So when you open up your project, it's going to be with no tracks. And there's different options here in the center, or you can hit the left side, and these are the different tracks. So there's MIDI tracks, there's audio tracks, and then we're doing recording tracks, which are technically audio tracks as well, but you're using a microphone to do it. So let's go through. Let's do some drones. Let's talk about drones. Drones is a component of spooky music that you can do. A drone is just a low-lying sound, and we're going to use a string section for this. Type in string section. And when you do that, now we are using our onboard keyboard here. I'm just typing in stuff and you can see that. So you don't really need to know anything about a piano layout if you never touched a piano before. It's totally fine. You don't need to do anything crazy. A drone is 1, 2, 3, 4 notes, whatever it is. So over here, there's an R button, and there's headphones and some other things, but we're going to deal with this R button right now, and that means record. So it's enabled to be recorded. And we're going to hit this circle down the bottom here, and I'm going to start recording a drone. Actually, let's change the octave. Oh, I like that. We're going to do that one. Drone's super low, crazy octave. So it's giving my count off. Do 4 measures worth. Beautiful. I stopped it with my space bar. So if you look, this is my note that I played. I can double click on that. This is called the piano editor, or the piano roll. And this is a live representation of what you did. So what you just made is a MIDI track. MIDI is not just like the MIDI sounds that you hear in like old Mario from like Nintendo days. MIDI is instructions on how to play something. So MIDIs are really tiny files, they're not sound files. A MIDI file is technically just instructions on how to play a sound file. It's up to the computer or the synthesizer to interpret that instruction and make the sound. So what we have is something that we can move around. So if we recorded something on our instrument, we can't move around stuff. We can't like change pitch on it too easily without doing some other crazy stuff. But with MIDI, super easy. It's my computer making this noise. And right now I'm playing a C. And maybe I want to do over here, I'm going to use the edit function on the right side. So right now we're on moving function. We're going to edit stuff. This is a velocity. That's like basically how hard you hit something. So we're going to do the edit, no editor. And we're going to do another octave above it. Look, it kind of already knew what the length was of my sound. And I'm going to move it to 4 measures here. Whoops, I went past that. So there's a 4th measure, and I went a little past 4th measure. So now I have perfectly 4th measures. I want to create some dissonance. So right now this sounds nice. So if you listen, pretty cool. Let's create some dissonance. I'm going to add a half note. Sorry, not half note. I'm going to add a half step up. So we're going to do C sharps here. So let's listen to that. Sounds like. Now we're getting someplace. It sounds like we're in some crazy haunted house. The use of distance is very indicative of spooky music. Let's talk about, you can even add a 5th in there if you want. It starts to get a little bit muddy, but do whatever you like. Do whatever you like. You can hit delete to erase something. If you need to redo something or undo it, you can use these buttons up top. There's an undo and there's a redo button. I'm pretty happy with that. So let me just click out of that, and I'm going to X out. So now I have this. Let's talk about pizzicato strings is another technique. So we're going to add another track, and we're going to go back to strings. And instead of just a string section, look at all these other strings that we have. We have double bass pizzicato. We're going to do a string section pizzicato. And what that is the plucking of an instrument. Rather than using the bow, or arco it's called, pizzicato is just using the string. So if I play on my keyboard, you can hear what that sounds like. So we're gonna try to change the octave again. I think over here, let's change it. I'm gonna move my cursor to start on the fifth measure, and I'm gonna kind of pretend it's like, I don't know, foot, like tiptoeing. I'm gonna record here, so I'm gonna record. Also over here, I'm going to solo this because I don't want to hear my string section thing up here. I just want to hear what I'm doing right now in the present time. So I'm gonna hit the solo button, and you notice that now mutes it and it's grayed out. You're not gonna hear it. So I have my R for record. I have it soloed. I'm ready to go. I'm hitting my record button. It's gonna give me my count off, and I'm just gonna choose 2 notes to jump between. Maybe like somebody's getting closer to you. And hit the pause button to stop it. I can go back to where I started by hitting the enter button, and now it'll go there. And I can hit spacebar again, and it'll play it for me. So you can play around with the intervals, whether you like, I just did a half step before. You can do any other notes. You can play like a different theme on pizzicatos. It's pretty neat. You can change the sounds of it with the octaves and stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do to it. You can also change the reverb. Let's do like crazy reverb. And pan means left or right, so I can make it come out of just my right ear, or you can also change it. This is called the automation button over here, and automation is volume or pan. So I can add pan. So maybe I want it to start in the center, and I want it to go to maybe my left ear by the end of this. I think the upper is left, I don't know. Actually, it's the right side. So now I'm hearing it coming out of my right speaker. So if you're hearing headphones, it'd be really effective for it. And then you can close this once you're done. You can also add a volume. So maybe you want to start it a little bit softer too. And you want that to get louder. You don't need just to change the volume once on the track, and that's all you can do. So the volume you can have dynamically speaking. So this would be a crescendo for it as well. So let's hear what that sounds like. So it's softer. And it's getting louder over to our right ear. Kind of creepy. All right, cool. Let's talk about synths. Let's add new, and we're going to do a synthesizer. Synthesizers are really neat. It's just a different electronic sound. So a lot of these synths are like R&B, rap, like rock stuff that you can do, but take a listen. That's kind of cool. So you can preview all the different sounds. Let's go to here. Well, that's pretty, I like that one. Bell piano. All right, we're gonna do that. Over here, we're going to solo this, and we're gonna mute that one so I only hear myself. I'm gonna move my starting place. Let's do measure 4. And I'm gonna play something on here. Again, I don't need to know what I'm doing. I can edit it any point I want to. So I'm gonna hit record button. And let's see. So now I have that. I can hit unsolo, and now I can listen to my whole thing. How's that sound? So it adds footsteps to it. And the string section, of course, you can do different things. Like you can put a decrescendo, so it's not an abrupt ending to it, by going to that automation and adding the volume to it, so you can add that so it's not an abrupt ending. But that's how you can use the synth. There's different sounds with it, and it's really neat how you can change so many different settings for it. And let's talk about simple themes while we're here. And I'm going to do a theme on another synthesizer, and we're going to solo this one. So again, all these other ones are going to be muted, and I want to change one. I like this one. All right, I'm going to use this one. And I'm going to record a simple thing. It could be a couple notes. Like really think about John Williams did so much with just 2 notes for Jaws. Da-dum, da-dum. Super easy. Batman theme and the newer Batmans. Batman Begins. D F. Pretty cool. So there's a lot you can do with just a couple notes. I'm going to make something. Let's do it right here. So I'm going to go back to the. Actually, I'm going to delete that. I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to record. And I'm soloed for this one, so I can do it. And I'm going to use my instrument here, and I'm going to record. Oh no, I'm going to make something. Pretty neat, okay. And you can change again with the octaves. Maybe you like the different octaves or super high. Whatever, up there. So now I have this in the mix. You can quote any like what's the creepy stuff, like you have little kids singing and things, like a nursery rhyme. If you want to type in a nursery rhyme into it, that might be pretty cool. You need little echoes. So it's so many cool things that you can do. And one of the last things, second to last thing, in the synthesizer section, I want to just show you pads. Pads are just what they are. They're just like these. It just covers and makes an ambient sound. So in the pad section, this, like if you just had one note playing for this, you can add stuff on top of it. It doesn't have to be constantly something. Like dead space is okay with this sitting there. Pretty neat. So then you can add, there's like piano, there's a thing like organ, you can add organ to stuff. Last thing is the loops section here. There are, if you hit loops, you can add sounds. If you go to sounds, there are literally hundreds of sounds that are preloaded into here. Everything from a door opening to unlocking. Drill going on. That'd be perfect for a creepy Halloween sound. Fabric moving. Somebody's coming up behind you. I don't really hear it yet. Maybe it's just my speakers. It could be like really low sounds to it. There's so many cool things. So if you want to do screams in here. Scream. No. I don't want a snare, I want a scream. Let me check this. Scream. Aha. Man screaming. Perfect. I could add that in there too. That could be creepy. Ooh, let's try this. Okay, got it. So, what if we did change the pitch to something? Watch this. Sweet. I'm going to do it twice. And this is going to be really loud. I'm going to change the automation volume, and it'll start off pretty loud. So you can do different things to that. You can reverse it. You can really do some cool stuff. Now let's talk about we just did MIDI tracks, and this baby screaming one. This was an audio one. So you see how there's different wavelengths to it. It's going up and down. That's an audio file. You can't really change much to it per se. Like you can't change the timing of something within it, like we did in the piano roll editor. These ones up here, those are MIDI files. Lots of changing. We're going to add another audio file, but it's going to be our voice, our instrument. And I'm going to pick up a guitar. It's right next to me here. And what you're going to be doing is recording your instrument either in a traditional sense, like maybe you want to play one of your themes to it, play some sort of spooky thing on your trumpet or your saxophone, whatever it is. Or you can come up with some extended technique thing. So what you normally think of a guitar, you think of normal guitar playing. So what I'm going to do is different. I'm going to hit record and I'm going to mute everything else by soloing this and see how they all muted. That's an easier way than just going mute, 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 mute on all the tracks above you. All right, so I am soloing this one and I'm going to record. Let's hear this. Let's try this. Okay. Hit enter, it goes back to here. Let's try this. Almost sounds like a door opening. And what if I changed it? If I do transform, I do up a fifth. Let's hear what that sounds like. Try this. That's pretty neat. And maybe I want to like cut off this beginning part to it and just start here. So there's many different sounds, and notice how I went over and there's this sound right there. I can pull it back and just cut it off this way. You can also grab the loop here. This is the loop function, so it's going to repeat whatever I have in there. So if you wanted to go back to what you had, you have to pull it down from the bottom or push from the bottom. Up top is the loop function. I can't like unloop something because it's not a loop yet. But if I go over here, I can cut it and do whatever I want. So you can manipulate your stuff if you want to change the reverb to it. Let's try that. Pretty neat. There's so many possibilities. Think of all the different ways that you can utilize your instrument. Really, really fun stuff to do. So check back at the project description page, and that's going to show you the different requirements that you need for it. And ask me questions. And you can even Google stuff or YouTube things if you need help with Soundtrap. But I think if you use your imagination and think broadly of what you can do, and don't try to fill up every single second with something, and think overall a grand theme. If you want to just kind of make it more of a music-y type thing, you can do that. If you want to have it almost like an oral, like a story, how a person's walking through and then they hear somebody coming up on them and then they hear laughs or giggle, like you can do so many neat things with it. So think of how you want to have your project and then go from there. So if you just want to mess around for a little bit, go for it, and then you'll get more comfortable with the software, whatever. But I think you have lots of opportunities here to show tons of creativity. So I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. Let me know if you need any help or questions. Bye-bye.